All right, Thursday, almost there. Welcome to Frontline, 6 o'clock here on the East Coast. It begins with some disturbing news from Virginia, where police say the state's former Democrat Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax killed his wife, then himself, overnight. Yes, this is the same Justin Fairfax that Joe Biden called to lead Virginia back in 2019. Also in Virginia, Fairfax County Public Schools are flipping the bird, basically, to an estimated 65,000 veterans leaving the country and getting rid of Veterans Day as a school holiday by a vote of 8-1. The school district instead keeping the fake Indigenous People Day, better known as Columbus Day by everybody else. And in Michigan, floodwaters are threatening dams around the state. One dam already in Alcona County has failed, and officials are monitoring at least 7 more throughout the state. And if they fail, could unleash massive flooding in the area. But first, everybody wants cuts, but nobody actually wants to cut stuff. So let's do this. All right, here is probably the most defining point between the two parties right now. One party, Republicans minus 10 rhinos, I'll get to them in just a second, want to prioritize American tax-paying citizens, and the other party wants to give like free sex change surgeries, free yoga, gym memberships and massages, and unlimited unvetted tax dollars from you and I to people who shouldn't even be here.
Were you able to get the hormones or,
Yeah, I did that with my doctor.
So Medicare, you got the breast implants?
Yes.
Wow, taxpayer funded.
Wow. Yeah, I can't think of a better way to spend my tax dollars. Fake boobs for illegal immigrant men. That's literally what's happening in California. I just got to ask. This program, I don't even know where it came from, but how many people from Guatemala or Honduras are actually interested in a sex change? Or did Chris Rufo just find the few that exist? Well, apparently it's a big problem for years, centuries actually. People came here for opportunity, for jobs, even religious freedom. Now they're coming here like for sex changes at our expense. I mean, we've fallen from grace if that's the case. Here, give us you're sick, you're tired, you're hungry. Oh, and you're transgender weirdos. We went from people changing their names to conform with American culture through Ellis Island to changing their gender to conform with California medical handouts at our expense. And New York, this is actually probably worse, has been giving them CDLs instead of sex changes. So today, the Trump administration pulled $73 million in federal highway grants because we're not going to pay for roads that are letting illegals drive 88,000-pound trucks that can't speak English. And the left is going nuts over this. Like, you people, you drive on these roads too. You want these folks out there? Why? Probably for the same reason that the 10 rhinos I just mentioned voted with 100% of Democrats to not send a bunch of Haitians back to Haiti by extending their temporary protected status, because no one in D.C. ever wants to fix anything. They all profit and they all benefit off the problem, but not the solution. So they just keep it going. And by the way, they'll just change their convictions depending on who's in charge. Remember when Trump called Haiti a dump and all the libs jumped? I was like, oh no, Haiti is beautiful.
I spent a lot of time in Haiti, and it is a beautiful country.
Now, I have no idea what the president has against the people of Haiti, but if the president doesn't like them, they must be lovely people.
Right. So beautiful that all the Democrats and 10 Republicans just voted for, as the Democrat whip Catherine Clark said in a press release. Right now, Haiti is in the grips of a humanitarian crisis, one that grows more violently unstable by the day. By the way, that crisis has been carried on since 2010 with an earthquake and a hurricane. Like, how long do you need to get your country back together? Florida gets hit by a Cat 5 hurricane. Their grocery stores are literally open the next day with a grandmother like carrying an alligator out in a trash can. Haiti, 16 years later, you're still claiming a humanitarian crisis? Obviously, they extended it again because of a 2018 earthquake of 7.1, and it's still not rebuilt despite all the money we gave them. But Japan gets hit by a 7.6 in 2024, and they're back to normal in less than a year. We didn't take in any Japanese people. They helped themselves. Like, here's a serious question, and I don't mean to be crass here, but why would we want people from a population that can't rebuild? It pretty much guarantees they won't build anything here either. Sorry, that's the reality. So which is it, libs? Was Trump right and Haiti is a dump, and that's why you voted to extend the temporary protected status for those Haitians? Or is it brilliant, vibrant, and fantastic? Like, look, I've been there. I went there on a mission trip, and you don't go to nice places to help build stuff for poor people. I can tell you, it is a dump. But these Republicans who voted to keep these Haitians here, it's like every time on every issue, there's some reason for something, and they just make stuff up. Every Republican has run on immigration being a problem, yet every time a serious move to fix the mass migration or revoke this group or that group, there's always some reason, and it's just so pisses me off, why the current group can't be touched. One of the Republicans who voted to keep those Haitians here was very vocal about getting rid of a lot of these people when Biden was president, saying, quote, Malitaka said this, "Our tax dollars as citizens of New York should not be utilized to house citizens of other countries, especially at the expense of our senior citizens and veterans who put their lives on the line, paid taxes their whole lives, and built communities." That sounds like a Republican. But then she turns around and literally does the opposite when she has a chance to do the exact thing that she said we should do 2 years ago. This is why you people have like a lower approval rating than herpes. I guess she got the talking points, though, that like, oh, Haitians can't be touched. They apparently are essential to our healthcare industry. Yeah, right. And just like, hold up for a second here. And maybe I'm crazy for asking this question, but how on God's green earth did the apparent backbone of our healthcare industry come to rest on temporary, keyword, temporary protected status of Haitians? And this is why nothing gets solved in this country, because everybody they want something done. Cut this, cut that on their campaign promises, deport this person or get rid of that group. But every time we go to do it, someone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't cut that because that affects my district. Don't deport Haitians because my nephew's next door neighbor's nanny is Haitian and her third cousin removed would have to go back to Haiti. It sounds stupid, but that's literally how it goes with everything. Cutting funds, same thing, any program. Hey, I want to cut this program that's rife with fraud and just plain stupid when they're in the minority. Then when that party takes power, Republican or Democrat, nope, can't cut that because it's funding like one constituent janitor in a competitive congressional district, and they would lose one job over it, and that could turn the whole district over to the other party. We find out this is how it goes. Now it's finding out $9,000 per illegal every single year is what we're paying. The same Democrats now crying about how much the bombs cost that we're dropping on Iran are doing everything they can to spend 3 times as much on illegals. $150 billion a year. We're just basically lighting on fire to give to people who shouldn't even be here. It's unbelievable. And we still can't deport them en masse because 10 Republicans sided with all the Democrats to keep a huge chunk of them here. There is absolutely no way. I am throwing the BS flag here. Zero chance that 350,000 Haitians that fled a broken country with basically no school system, where the average IQ is around 67, are now somehow the essential healthcare workers. No way that is the case. Boston Mayor Wu, same thing, giving illegals $500 a month to get a gym membership and a massage too. Guess who? You know who she's giving them to? Here's from her own thing. Queer trans migrants. Like, can I get that? Like, can I get a gym membership for free, please? It took me 2 years. 2 years to get an appointment at the VA to review my CAT scan from getting hit by an IED. I didn't even need the CAT scan. I just went out and got one on my own. It took 2 years just to get them to look at it. But sure, some statistically non-existent group of, trans illegal immigrants gets $500 a month for massages in Boston, trans surgeries in California. I mean, whatever happened to the law? 8 U.S. Code 1182 A4. If an illegal immigrant is, quote, likely at any time to become a public charge, is inadmissible, and you can get them out of here, too. And we're just giving them gym memberships, massages, and fake boobs for dudes in a state that already has more Medicare fraud than anywhere else. Now, how about we cut off all that stuff, all that money to every state that does this kind of stuff? Because I am so tired of paying for it. Investigative reporter for City Journal who helped break the story with the team about trans illegals getting taxpayer-funded medical procedures. Kenneth Schrupp, when you, first off, Ken, how did you find out this was, I wouldn't even thought to look here.
So our team got a tip and from people who said that this was happening, and we went up and we followed up. That's how a lot of things happen. People know now that our team is out there looking for fraud. They send information in, and we're here to follow up and make sure this gets reported. Yeah,
well, and reporting you do. I mean, this is crazy to me. So how many people like this actually exist? Is it like 2, or is it an actual thing?
Well, it's hard to know. These are private medical records. What we do know is this is happening in a lot of different parts of the state, especially in the prison system. You have people who are males who identify as females to get into women's prisons.
Of course.
And then at that point, they'll receive very expensive care. These transition surgeries are very expensive. 5 figures, 6 figures, paid for by you and me.
This is unreal. And so criminals, male criminals, get convicted of something, they go to jail, they're like, nah, I'd rather not see a bunch of dudes in the shower. I'm going to tell everybody I'm a female, and then Gavin Newsom is going to foot the bill for my sex change. That's literally going on?
That's exactly what happens. We've seen allegations of serious continued rape even by such individuals. I mean, it's like you're letting them loose in a women's prison. It is awful.
It's so crazy to me. All right, so how much of, if you had to tally a dollar figure, how much of this do you think is actually, what is this costing people?
Well, the illegal immigrant health care in California was not supposed to cost all that much in California. In fact, it's supposed to save us money. But I believe the most recent tally for the current year is over $10 billion. And that's mostly paid for by the state. You have a federal portion too, though, for when someone goes into an emergency room, they don't have insurance, they're using the emergency room as just their place for routine medical care. Federal taxpayers are paying for about half of that, I believe.
Yeah, but the other thing is, that person that we just played in that video, that's a man that got all the hormones, all the surgery, all the stuff, was just open about it, not even trying to hide it. It was yep, came here illegally, got this, got that, got hormones, getting this. Oh, by the way, I'm getting another surgery. They didn't even care. They thought there was nothing wrong with this.
You see people coming in from all over the world to enjoy Medi-Cal. You see people moving in from other states to get the generous benefits that we offer. I've seen plenty of people coming forward and talking about this. It is really the entire world coming to California to enjoy our largesse at your and our expense.
Kenneth, I can't thank you enough for bringing this to light. Don't stop, even if they pass that stupid new law that outlaws citizen journalists. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, California's abuse of tax dollars doesn't end with transing illegal immigrants. The Trump administration has been laser focused on uncovering fraud in the California Medicare system. Federal agents are now suspending 447 hospices and 23 home health agencies in just the Los Angeles area alone that was, at this point, allegedly defrauding Medicare of approximately $600 million. That insane numbers. Administrator for the Centers for Medical and Medical Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, sir, you're leading the charge on this under J.D. Vance. This is fantastic.
Well, it's wonderful that you can get the entire organization. In our case, we monitor about $1.8 trillion of spending for Medicare and Medicaid. All these wonderful programs that are the social safety net of the nation have been abused, and especially over the last administration's tenure, when folks in the agency were told, don't worry about fraud, just enroll more people. We now have everybody focused. I spoke to all of the inspector generals today. J.D. Vance is a spectacular leader with his team running this as fraud task force. We've now been able to unleash some of the tools, some of the weapons that Medicare and Medicaid have. And in the case of hospice, just to your point, we have suspended payments to all these hospices. Carl, do you know how many have complained to us about not getting paid?
Probably zero. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, they don't think it's so bad. They probably figure they got away with it with years and years because Gavin Newsom wasn't paying attention. But the more I look at this, the more I need to ask us all a question. Is this really a flaw of the system, or do some people think it's a feature of the programs that they're running? In particular, governors of some of our states don't seem to care that much about abuse of, for example, hospice or home health care or autism care services. In the case of Los Angeles, 1/3 of all the hospices in the entire country are in Los Angeles. I mean, just how many people are dying there?
Yeah, not that
These
many
programs are
people
designed.
could be dying. They have nothing left.
So these programs were designed for your last 6 months of life, and people are understanding they can defraud the system. You corrupt the programs around you. All the things that now feed into hospice, the people who are trying to do good get squeezed out by the bad apples. We believe organized crime is involved in this fraud. Foreign countries are involved in this fraud. It's not just Los Angeles, although that's a hotbed for these problems. We've got issues in Florida where we got twice as many durable medical equipment suppliers as McDonald's. We got a big problem in New York where the #1 job in the entire state is personal care services. So someone's carrying your groceries up the stairs, probably one of your kids. So now we have a jobs program being supported. And looking at footage there from Minnesota, where you've got a building full of fraudsters and no one seems to care.
Yeah, sir, the other thing, you mentioned nearly $2 trillion program. And this is one of our biggest liabilities in the budget line item. $2 trillion or just shy. How much of that, in your experience, do you think is fraud?
We think that roughly $100 billion is defrauded from our taxpayers every year.
Just for that.
This is a really important point. Yeah, that's a massive amount of money. But let me put it in context. If you're worried about Medicare being there for you when you retire, if we could deal with just the fraud in Medicare, we would double the life expectancy of the Medicare Trust Fund. It'd be there for you. And I'll tell you one other thing that's really, to me as a doctor, really bothersome. And this is, I think, for the president and for the vice president, these are major issues. If you're willing to steal from our most vulnerable, reprehensibly taking what's most important for them to stay alive, stay healthy, you'll happily steal their health, you'll take their lives. So this fraud corrupts the system in a way that is irreversible if you don't jump on it, and that's why the task force is so important.
Yeah, and I tell you, you guys are doing a great job, and what the thing I love most is you're like, you have to prove you're real now or it automatically gets cut off, which is the only way to do it. Dr. Oz, keep it up, sir. All right, folks, Optimum, you may have heard of them. It's a cable operator in New York and in states like Texas and West Virginia. They currently carry Newsmax, but they have indicated that they actually may cancel us from their lineup as early as this Saturday. So, look, don't let Optimum take Newsmax away from you. It's the only major cable company not to renew us, okay? Which is now one of the country's most watched cable channels, okay? If you're an Optimum cable broadcast or subscriber or whatever, call them up. Let them know you want to keep us on your TV. We encourage you to call Optimum with the toll-free number 844-5-NEWSMAX. It's 844-563-9762. Let them know how you feel, or get more information at iwantnewsmax.com. That's iwantnewsmax.com. Tell these people they're not going to take us off the air. Let's keep a free press. Stand up for us. We love you guys. Love to be in your home. All right, coming up, Americans could soon reclaim another piece of personal freedom right in their own homes. A new push that has now legalized home distilling, cutting through red tape and putting power back where it belongs with us, the people. We break that down with the founder of the Hobby Distillers Association that just won huge in court. But first, as Democrats scramble to distance themselves, new records show Eric Swalwell and his best friend, Ruben Gallego, dipping into campaign funds for a little island escape in Puerto Rico. And maybe just the tip of the iceberg, Kentucky Congressman James Comer is going to join us on that in just a second.
You served your country with honor. Now get the benefits you've rightfully earned. Paul R. Lawrence has written the book every veteran should own, Veterans Benefits for You. This step-by-step guide breaks down what you need to know, from financial compensation and disabilities to information for dependents and parents. This book is a must-read for all servicemen and women. Get your free copy today with our special offer. Call the number on your screen or go online to order.
You can join the Tunnel to Towers mission to do good by donating your car to today's veterans. Your car donation will help Gold Star families, as well as injured veterans, our first responders, and our homeless veterans. Donating your car is quick and simple. Any car is accepted, and we will pick up the car for free. Simply call 844-BRAVES.
By donating your car, you can make a real difference. You can do good.
Does it ever feel like society is going up in flames, yet people don't have the strength to care? There's a hidden reason for that, and it may surprise you. Testosterone levels in American men are at an historic low, and it's testosterone that gives men the energy to be men. Support your own natural testosterone production with Chalk. Go to chalk.com/TV1 for your $17.76 discount. Chalk's all-American customer service team is standing by.
Slotomania, the #1 free slots game, presents the iconic Betty Boop, featuring amazing reels, exciting bonus games, and grand jackpots. Yes! Download Slotomania now, play Betty Boop slots, and get 25 free spins and 15 million free coins.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dried premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
Look, if you're sneaking around, it's probably going to come out, especially if you're in Congress. Because while Swalwell's packing his bags, this scandal, massive shining spotlight on Capitol Hill's dirty little secrets, which is also the taxpayer-funded sexual harassment slush fund. That is right. We've talked about this ad nauseum. $17 million of our hard-earned money quietly paying off victims for years to keep these creeps' secrets buried. And a fresh FEC record just dropped showing Eric Swalwell and his bestie, Ruben Gallego, both used campaign funds for a luxury Puerto Rico resort expense on the same day during Gallego's 2021 wedding weekend. Swalwell's operation dropped 2 charges, one for $1,522 at the swanky Hyatt Regency Grand Reserve, while Gallego's team spent an oddly even, 2,000 bones at the nearby Fairmont El San Juan, the swamp be swampin'. Kentucky Congressman and Chairman of the Committee for Oversight and Government Reform, James Comer. All right, sir. It just, look, we knew a lot of your colleagues are probably sleazebags because of that slush fund, but, this is new level stuff.
Yeah, and with the trust fund, remember, there was a vote about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think Nancy Mace sponsored a bill to require the disclosure of who was the recipients and who were the reasons why the fund was paid out to begin with, which members. And I was one of the few that voted for that. It was a bipartisan vote, overwhelmingly against it. Well, since that vote, we got together on the Oversight Committee and we wanted to know who these people were. If it's tax dollars, then every American has a right to know. So I subpoenaed for those records and we expect to get them in next week. So hopefully by this time next week, every American will know who the members of Congress were that used tax dollars to pay out on sexual harassment claims.
I sure hope so, man, because I'm assuming that if people who voted against us, I'm just assuming they're on that list or in some capacity. That is like music to my ears. But Gallego, okay, this guy, still a sitting senator, notably Swalwell's best friend, said he had heard rumors of flirty behavior by Swalwell, but he says he has no knowledge of any sexual assault allegations. Just watch this.
What were the rumors that you heard? What were the rumors?
It was flirty. That was flirty.
And that was when? About what year was it?
I mean, that was we've heard that. We've heard that throughout.
In the beginning, you said when you first heard these rumors a few weeks ago, that's when you called them. Then you said you've heard these rumors for years. So which one is it, Senator?
So I heard rumors of him being flirty.
And that wasn't an issue enough for you to not trust him to watch your kids or be close with him?
Because, you hear this, and then when you're close to somebody and you know his wife, you see this. You see that relationship. You know that, it maybe just isn't true.
How about we get these people under oath in front of your committee and ask them the exact same question and see what they say?
Yeah, the Ethics Committee is the one that's supposed to do things like that. The Ethics Committee, I love those guys, but they move at a snail's pace. We could do it a lot faster on the Oversight Committee. But where Swalwell's got problems from a congressional standpoint is, first of all, it appears that he and the senator from Arizona used campaign funds to attend a wedding and things like that. You're only supposed to use your campaign funds for specific campaign events, for fundraisers and things like that. If they went to a wedding and paid for it with campaign funds, that's probably a campaign finance violation. Then the second thing is, if you're a member of Congress and you're messing around, whatever, that's between you and God and your family. But if you're doing it with campaign or with congressional staffers who are subordinates of yours, then that's a big illegal, unethical violation there, and you should be held accountable. And I think Swalwell thinks that just because he resigned from Congress and dropped out of the governor's race that this is going to end for him. But he's got authorities in at least 3 different states breathing down his neck. I mean, more and more women come out of the woodwork. And, you know, there's one thing to have an allegation, because, you know, we're doing that with this Epstein stuff, lots of allegations. But when they produce video and text messages and pictures, that's pretty hardcore evidence that crimes have been committed. So he's got a lot of problems, and I think everybody in Congress is pretty disgusted by it.
It's like an episode of Cops, not Congress. I mean, geez. The other thing too is like, I've traveled abroad. I know you have too. When you go and spend an even $2,000 or an even dollar amount on anything, it's generally at like the hotel concierge that does currency exchange. What was that cash going to is what I want to get to the bottom of. Congressman James Comer, pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
All right, you better bet we're going to have him back on in a week when that list comes out, folks. We're going to blow that thing up like you wouldn't believe. Elon Musk going to see that from space. Coming up, another know-it-all Democrat absolutely schooled by a Republican over who controls the Strait of Hormuz. Spoiler alert, the Democrat had no idea what he was talking about. Next.
Wake Up America Weekend.
Good morning, I'm Kyle Lauder.
And I'm Kenzie Beach.
It's a Wake Up Weekend with Kyle and Kenzie.
We're here to help kickstart your weekend.
Grab your coffee and join us at 7 a.m. only on Newsmax.
Allegiance Flag Supply believes American flags should be made in America.
Our symbol of freedom made outside our borders, that did not sit right.
Join us in our mission to keep the American flag truly American. Don't settle for flags made elsewhere.
Every flag is proudly crafted in the USA with superior materials.
Visit showallegiance.com to order your high-quality, made-in-America flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
The crisis inside Ukraine has reached a catastrophic level, with the elderly Jews pushed to the very limit.
Go inside. She's freezing cold. There's no electricity, no heat, no water. Winter is now a weapon of war used against the elderly, the mothers, and the young children.
They've been lined up here for hours. These are precious people who are hungry, and they have nothing. If someone doesn't do something soon, a humanitarian disaster is coming. So many Jewish people who are just waiting for someone to care enough to pick up the phone.
Fears are growing that without an emergency, full-scale response, thousands will die this winter.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews needs your $25 gift now to help rush a winter survival food box of emergency food for elderly Jews and families in Ukraine. Today, there's a special opportunity to double your gift's impact, thanks to generous fellowship partners. Call now and your gift's impact will be doubled.
They felt the shaking of missiles. These are people who have already endured so much suffering and disaster, taking out power, taking out water, simple water to drink. We're talking about the difference between life or death. Christian, Jew, standing shoulder to shoulder, saying, we're here to heal, we're here to help.
Your gift of only $25 helps rush a winter survival food box filled with life-saving emergency food for elderly Jews and families in Ukraine. Thanks to a special matching challenge, if you call now, your gift's impact will be doubled. Time is critical. Please give now.
Dale, you really need to get that colon cancer screening.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Dale, we can do it with just a blood test. Shield.
Shield is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved Shield.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
Science didn't stop at diet and exercise. Why would you? Super Beats by Human delivers blood pressure support with clinically researched ingredients, because cardiovascular health is everything health. Available at your local Costco.
All right, this little noodle-armed David Hogg escaped daycare and ran into the CNN studio to get absolutely schooled by Scott Jennings. Listen to this.
Anybody with an elementary school understanding of foreign policy could have told you the Strait of Hormuz was going to get shut down, and that is exactly
And who controls
what
it
happened.
right now? Who controls the
How high are,
strait
why are
now?
gas prices so high then?
Why were they high during Biden's administration? Did you like that?
It wasn't because of a because of a geopolitical
Here's the deal.
fumble.
Who controls the strait? You're using last week's talking points, David. We control the strait. We are in charge of this conflict right now.
Yep, there's the DNC David Hogg, expert now of the Strait of Hormuz with zero foreign policy personal experience. The International Energy Agency head said that Europe has also maybe 6 weeks of jet fuel left. And I'm like, wah. You guys didn't help us at all with the Strait of Hormuz. NATO, nowhere to be found. You guys, you're on your own. Co-host of American Agenda, 2 to 4 p.m. right here on Newsmax, Bob Brooks, and Washington Times legal reporter Alex Swoyer. All right, Bob, I mean, okay.
Toothpick arms.
Yeah.
David Hogg. What does he know about
Everything.
foreign? Yeah, he knows everything. I don't think he knows absolutely anything. Is he in the rooms negotiating?
Yeah.
Does he have the same information that President Trump has? No, I don't think so. As far as Europe goes, they had their chance. They could have come in. They could have helped out. They're so scared. They're scared of their own shadow at this point, largely because, though, a lot of their population has come from the Middle East at this point.
Maybe, I was going to say, maybe Hogg was too young to remember what gas prices were during the Biden years, but they were actually higher, right? Yeah. And I even went back and looked. Well, and in 2022, the whole Russia-Ukraine war, I think the national average was $5. We're actually right now at $4. So we're kind of tracking even better than we did back then.
It's a talking point for them to try and score points with people. That's all it is.
But this is the thing. They always think they know about oil. Just roll this real quick.
Since the start of Trump's war of choice, it's $15 more every time you fill up your tank of gas. The price of diesel has now gone up 80% since the start of the war. We've got a president who is paying more attention to what he thinks is in his best political interest and personal interest, as opposed to what is in the best interest of working people in America.
But they did, again, they didn't care. 30% inflation over her 4-year term in the White House. Look, that's Biden's gas prices. We got ours all the way on the right, not even half.
And this was chosen to do, I guess, in North Carolina. And Bob, I'm guessing that was a very political move. I think she's seeing 2028 on the horizon for herself. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But also the fact that we're talking about the whole gas prices thing. How many times did she have to do a jump cut? Y'all might be more experts on social media than I can, but you would think by now she would be able to complete that.
Because she can't.
1 minute. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite talking points when it comes to Kamala Harris, and you brought it up. 30% cumulative inflation under her watch, even worse in some other things. This should be a message to the country with Democrats. They have absolutely no economic plan. You want to know why things are expensive now? It is because of the legacy of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, rampant and record inflation. They're the ones why people can't afford anything in the country anymore, why things are so expensive.
And in California, she's from California. It's like the perfect example. They raised their minimum wage to like $4 billion an hour, or whatever they want to do it to. And now all these hotels and Kroger ahead of the Olympics are like, hey, we can't afford this, so we're out.
Yeah, it's a problem. They drove away their residents, and now they're going to drive out their tourism because the hotels are having an issue. If you have an employer that has to pay, what is it, $30 for minimum wage, or what they're supposed to start paying, I think, over the trajectory of the next few years.
Some
to
people
their
ain't
employees,
worth $30 an hour.
how are you going to do that? How are you going to be able to successfully run a hotel and pay that?
Your options are stay competitive with pricing, right? So you're going to have to do less with more, or pay it up and then raise your prices, and now you're not competitive anymore.
Right.
It's total not competitive. That's what they've done to their state, make their state totally uncompetitive.
But it's the same thing with New York. It's like, we're going to dump $30 million on a single grocery store that's going to be like free and city. I was in infrastructure construction for a while. I could build you a grocery store in Manhattan for like $5 million tops.
And it's not supposed to open, I think, for a few years, right? It's like going to take a while to get going. I thought I read that. The other aspect, too, is
end of 27.
I don't want to go to government buildings. I will do everything I can not to go to the DMV.
Can't
I don't
carry a
want to
gun
do
on
my
either.
grocery shopping there.
Because it never runs efficiently. To your point, Carl, they could build sort of like 70 Krogers or something like that for half the cost.
Yeah.
And $30 million for one grocery store. I would love to see an audit once this thing gets going to see where all the money
Dude, that
goes.
will never happen in DPP. They're like, hey, let's audit ourselves. Look at how bad a job we did.
We're going to need a new fraud prosecutor.
Or fraud, maybe.
No, there's no fraud here.
No. Oh, no.
No, there's no fraud at all. I mean, just look at California. Totally clean.
Clean state.
Yeah. Trained to nowhere.
Except 90 hospice in one building.
Yeah.
That only has about 30
Yeah,
offices
I think by
the people running it are driving their luxury cars, right?
Yeah.
And we're paying the money that, like, if all the people were dying in California that we're paying money for, the California has like a negative population. Anyway. Bob, Alex, we appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Come back anytime.
Thank you.
All right, coming up, her party claimed to empower women and promote diversity and stuff, but she lost her seat to a white man. Now Crockett is on the hunt for a new gig. Yeah. Okay, bye. She's like, they want to say hi.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is restored. Millions of Americans are tuning in to Newsmax. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific. Watch Newsmax or download our free app on your TV or phone today.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Use daily dermatologist recommended Dermend and reduce the appearance of bruises. Get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle.
Like a relentless weed, moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep coming back.
Break away to what's possible with Tremfya.
The only IL-23 blocker for Crohn's and UC to offer self-administration from the start.
With symptom relief as early as 4 weeks, remission at 12 weeks, 1 year, and even 2 years.
Some had visible healing of their intestinal lining. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Healing is possible with Tremfya.
Backed by over 15 years of clinical research. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today.
What if your GLP-1 for weight loss was as easy to take as a mint? Small, discreet, and easy. Think about that. No needles. This is compounded tirzepatide, a mint-flavored tablet designed to fit into your daily routine. You simply let it dissolve under your tongue. No mixing, filling, or storing your own syringes. Tirzepatide helps curb appetite and supports healthier eating by reducing cravings, including for sweets and carbs. And when your appetite feels under control, it can make it easier to eat less and move intentionally towards your weight loss goals. If weight loss has been on your mind, this may be the needle-free option you've been looking for. A simple daily tablet, as easy to take as a mint. Getting started is fast and surprisingly accessible. Just complete a quick online physician consultation. Here's how.
Save $50 with promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at noneedles.com/slim.
Hi, I'm Oliver Heinrich here with my son Rocky. Now, our company sells Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement that contains 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients.
That's right, Dad. Immuno 150 has much more nutritional value than the average supplement because of the 150 ingredients that include the 70 minerals. The benefits are outstanding.
I suggest you try Immuno 150 so you can experience the difference that 70 minerals can make in your life.
At Omaha Steaks, we take premium aged steak and turn it into pure ground burgers like this. Get 8 new Wagyu smash burgers free with the Burger Perfection Flight. Just $99.99 at omahasteaks.com/TV. Burger perfection guaranteed.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
Weeks after getting smoked in the Texas Democrat Senate primary, the two-term Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is apparently dusting off her legal career due to lack of options.
I'm a whole lawyer. So I will potentially go back to practicing law. I'm engaged in conversations with some law firms about what that will look like. I want to be semi-flexible as it relates to the practice of law.
You're going to jail if you hire her as your attorney. Host of Ungoverned on LFA TV, Shawn Farash, Newsmax contributor Smythe. Kay, Like if she was a public defender and I walked in, like I don't care if it's a traffic ticket, I'm getting like a death penalty if she's my lawyer.
The real question is, guys, which voice is she going to use if she does lawyering? There are so many different personalities for her to choose from. Also, like, this is just sad. This is just cringe. You're supposed to, as a politician, do your time in government, and then you go work for some massive corporation or a law firm, something like that, get paid through the nose, not do actually that much work, or just go like full Dick Cheney and, you know, run something as big as Halliburton, and then come back into office once you've made all of your money. It's really sad, and what a sign of the times that Jasmine Crockett, maybe people are finally waking up. Hiring someone like her is not a good move. I think that the conversations that she's having are just so whoever actually works at those law firms can have like mild bragging rights. No one's actually going to hire her.
Shawn?
This is really embarrassing.
Shawn?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. This is somebody I don't want her representing anyone. She's like, I don't know what that's going to look like. I know what it's going to look like. You're not going to have a job, okay? That's what it's going to look like because nobody's hiring you, okay?
Yep.
You can't dance down, you can't skip down the halls of your law firm doing these odd TikTok dances and get away with it. You can in Congress. Turns out you can get away with a lot in Congress until someone doesn't want you to anymore. Just ask Eric Swalwell. But you can't do that in the real world at a law firm. So I'll tell you what it's going to look like. It's going to look like her not working.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to look like.
Which I'm okay with. I mean, like, no love lost there. Kay, obviously being a Euro yourself formerly, any doubt that Europe was lost? Let me hit you with some of these police-recorded rape and sex crime statistics. England and Wales, your home area, into the year 2000, 8,500 rapes. In the year 2023, 68,000, 800+% rise in that. France, 465% increase. Germany was way up, 2,000. We're talking like huge percentage rates in rapes, and yet they're like, no, we're going to keep bringing these people in.
Yeah, and can we talk about Poland?
Yeah.
Like the one country that actually closed their borders and said, no, not sure we're really for this. Feels like a stealth invasion to me.
Yeah.
Their stats, I mean, it couldn't even compare. Didn't even show on the scale compared to the rest of Europe.
Right.
This is just one in how many different factors. I mean, you want to talk about overall crime rate. You want to talk about the Islamification of Europe. It's just... It's so tragic. It's so sad. And this is yet another reason why my husband is like, let's literally go anywhere else on vacation. Anywhere else in the world.
I don't even leave America anymore. I'm not like, and I don't even go to like 30 states because I just don't want to go there. Shawn, we have those statistics. Poland is like, almost like they actually went down by almost 50, I think over 50%. They went down in rapes by 53%. And I'm like, no Islamists might be the answer here.
It turns out, I know this is like breaking news. If there's any liberals that are watching, this is going to sound groundbreaking to them. But it actually turns out if you don't import the third world into your country, a lot of third world things don't happen in your country. It's like, I know people's minds are like, whoa, how could you say that? It's the whole, if you bring there here, you'll never be able to prevent here from becoming there. That's what you're seeing, okay? Dearborn, Michigan, by the way, while we're speaking of Islamists that are... Somebody got caught with 35,000 files of child porn from the FBI. They found this dude. 35,000 in Dearborn, Michigan. I know, shocking third world things happening in a first world country because the first world country wanted to be compassionate and bring the third worlders into the country. And now you wind up with leering centers and gross people on your
Shawn,
streets.
they just didn't do it right. They got to try it all over again somewhere else just to make sure they did it right. Shawn Kay, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Terrible topic, but great. Great segment. All right, coming up, a federal ban in place since reconstitution has been just struck down in federal court. Let's go America, okay? We got the man behind all this moonshining next.
I've been using Experian Boost to help raise my credit scores, but Experian Boost is even better because now my monthly insurance payments could help boost my scores too. It does it instantly and it's free. So get it through the Experian app.
It's April, time for digital spring cleaning.
I shall purge the clutter!
Whoa, use PC-Matic. Our whitelist technology automatically cleans out malware and junk files without...
Delete the cookies. Delete!
Without breaking the computer. Get PC-Matic. We clean the smart way. American-made security for homes, businesses, and government agencies.
Visit PCMatic.com today.
Here at Allegiance, we feel like American flags should be made in America.
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags were actually being made overseas.
Every flag we make is proudly crafted in the USA with superior materials.
Join us in our mission to keep the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to order your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Life with ear ringing sounded like a constant train whistle I couldn't escape. Then I started taking lipoflavonoid. With 60 years of clinical experience, it's the #1 doctor-recommended brand for ear ringing, and now I'm finally free. Take back control with lipoflavonoid.
Need blood pressure support? Total Beets contain a patented key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. That's why Total Beets is the #1 best-selling beets brand in America. Take control of your health with Total Beets. Search Amazon now for Total Beets.
These days, supporting the right causes matters more than ever. That's why I chose Patriot Mobile. They're not just a great mobile service provider, they're all about giving back. Every bill helps support causes we believe in: family, faith, and freedom. You get great nationwide coverage on all 3 main networks. Even better, you're doing it with an American company that stands up for us. It's time to make the switch, y'all. Let's support a wireless company that's got our back. Go to patriotmobile.com and make the switch today.
Don't kibble your dog.
Hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
What's wrong with this?
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means they're ultra-processed. At Dr. Marty, we freeze-dry premium meats, fruits, and vegetables, and it's available at your local pet store.
So, Dale, you really need to get that colon cancer screening.
Dad, it's been forever. I need to be in there. Wrap it up. Come on, Dad. It's been forever.
How much longer?
It's been an hour. Are you done yet?
Dale, don't worry. We can do it with just a blood test. Shield.
Okay, let's do it.
Shield is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved Shield from the company trusted in blood tests for cancer for over a decade.
Win for the American citizen and a loss for big government overreach, which is my favorite. We mentioned this the other day. After 158 years, a federal appeals court has ruled that a federal ban on home distilling of alcohol, which is basically moonshining, is unconstitutional. In a lawsuit brought by the Hobby Distillers Association against the DOJ and the Treasury Department's Alcohol and Tobacco and Tax and Trade Bureau, the Fifth Circuit Court ruling in favor of the plaintiffs, allowing for the distilling to be regulated without being banned. The court writing, quote, under the government's logic, Congress may criminalize nearly any at-home conduct only because it has the possibility of concealing taxable activity. Home-based businesses may be forbidden under this. Remote work may be deemed a crime, which by the same logic would have deemed basically everybody a criminal during COVID because we all worked from home. Let's go. The men who helped knock big government down a peg: Rick Morris, founder of Hobby Distillers Association and lead attorney in the case; Robert Alt, president and CEO of the Buckeye Institute. Man, all right, so Rick, this is awesome. I'm an amateur moonshiner myself, so I'm pretty pumped about this. You go into this case, and now what?
That we're going to have to, just enjoy what we've achieved thus far. I think it was a great win. Thank you very much to Robert and his group there. But the job is not over. We still have to see what the next steps will be. Mm-hmm. But for right now, we'll sit back and be thankful that we got where we are.
Yeah, I mean, you did America a great service. This is my little amateur moonshine kit that I got right there that may or may not be in my garage. But Robert, here's the thing that that's my son with me. So here's what I got to be talking about now. 150-something years of this being banned. You're talking about properties seized, things taken, fines levied, thrown in jail. What happens if someone had their 2,000-acre farm seized because they were moonshining during the Great Depression or something like that? What happens with all those cases now?
Well, unfortunately, I mean, a lot of those are going to be locked in terms of the outcomes. But, there's great hope going forward. If there's anything I like better than a good glass of whiskey, it's limited government. And this opinion was a resounding victory for both. And I think, as Rick suggested, we'll see what happens going forward. The ball is now in the government's court. I think it's entirely conceivable that the government may choose to appeal this loss either to a full panel of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals or to the Supreme Court. Additionally, the Buckeye Institute, which was very proud to represent Rick in this case, we've got a second case in the Sixth Circuit where we're also advancing, called Ream versus the Department of Treasury, where we're also suing about this statute. And have an additional claim under the Commerce Clause. So a lot going on in this area to advance whiskey and freedom.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't even drink. I just make it, and I like to have it, give it out to people. I never sell it because that would be completely illegal. But Rick, in this whole thing, look, you're a hobbyist. That is like, this is such a harmless thing. It's not like you're purposely poisoning people with the methanol, the first 10% of this stuff. You're just doing it because it's a hobby, it's heritage, it's culture.
It is, and it's, for decades now, home brewing, home winemaking has been not just allowed, but accepted. And this is the natural next step for that same group of hobbyists. To make a whiskey is essentially an unhopped beer that you then distill. It's not some nefarious thing. It is just the natural progression in that same hobby. And it's a science project every time.
Yeah, I mean, that is the problem here. Real quick, Robert, if this goes forward, if everything goes well, what's your message to America, and especially for the people like me who hate government and want it smaller?
Well, this was a resounding victory for limited government. It reaffirmed the basic principle that we have a Congress of limited and enumerated powers, and that doesn't include the ability to regulate everything you do in your own home. So this has reestablished those limits, and I think, well, I was pleased to represent Rick in this matter.
100%. Well, I'm loving the fact that you guys did this. I mean, look, George Washington was a moonshiner. So, Rick, Robert, we appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, before we go, Thursday comments for Carl. Good one next. The press won't report the real story.
The American people are actually very smart.
Ridiculous statements.
These guys are just plain weird.
Actual scandals.
Even the immunity decision. I mean, that decision was so misreported.
That's my job, and I aim to do it every night.
The first time I experienced vertigo, the room was spinning, like I was in a clothes dryer. Then I started taking LipoBalance support. Its ingredients are clinically shown to help reduce dizziness and spinning. Take back control with lipoflavonoid.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire with more MLB games than anyone. Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
How old are you?
11.
If your dog struggles with stiff joints, low energy, messy poops, or an itchy coat, the cause might be sitting in your dog's food bowl right now. Kibble. That's why we created Badlands Ranch Superfood Complete, gently air-dried, packed with real canine superfoods to help your dog unlock puppy-like energy, smoother digestion, healthier joints, shinier coats, and more. Thousands have already made the switch. Visit your local pet food retailer today.
Appliances break down, home systems fail, which means I show up at everyone's store because I'm inevitable.
Unfortunately, something expensive is about to happen.
Is it the heat, plumbing, electrical, wiring, garage door, oven?
But we already have homeowners insurance. Actually, home insurance is for the unexpected disasters. A home warranty is for the everyday wear and tear that will cause your home systems and appliances to fail. So give the people at First American a call.
First American has had my back for years. It saved me hundreds. Just one call, and they send a pre-screened, qualified contractor.
Every home system and appliance fails. There's absolutely no avoiding it. But when the day comes, First American has you covered.
Home breakdowns are inevitable, but the expense, that's optional.
Call First American for a free quote that could save you thousands on inevitable home breakdowns. Call 800-714-4212 or visit FAHW.com.
Does it ever feel like society is going up in flames, yet people don't have the strength to care? There's a hidden reason for that, and it may surprise you. Testosterone levels in American men are at an historic low, and it's testosterone that gives men the energy to be men. Support your own natural testosterone production with Chalk. Go to chalk.com/TV1 for your $17.76 discount. Chalk's All-American customer service team is standing by.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Okay, so I get this long email about how I pronounce Iran, I guess from like an English teacher. And they said, learn how to do your job. Every time you mispronounce Iran, you sound like an uneducated street punk. You don't call it Israel for Israel, do you? No, I don't. But you served over there. That's not ignorance, that's stupidity. You were privy to the pronunciation of the country where you were, and I didn't go over there to talk. Like, what did this guy think? I've never seen someone so angry about like pronunciation. Just so you know, I will not change a thing about how I say Iran. Here's why I also have zero concern. Rob's laughing because his family's from there. Here's why I have zero concern about the invasion of America ever. Rusty, my man, wrote in, as a former gunner's mate, why doesn't any of the Islamic BS come down here to the south? Hunting season is over and we don't have anything to look forward to besides NASCAR. Can you give us a shout out? Just saying. Rusty, here's your shout out, bro. Thanks for being ready for this. This is why BLM and the jihadis and the purple-haired freak shows, they never riot in rural areas because the hills will start singing country roads and they won't come home. All right. I gotta get to this unusual box that was in it. A U.S. Air Force Vietnam veteran named Claude handcrafted me this great like seal stick out of a cedar limb. It's actually really cool. Like, I'm a pretty avid hiker, and I was gonna bring it up to my farm, and I really like walking around up there and stuff. But I really like walking around in the office with it. It's like great conversation starter. HR, not a big fan of it, but I'm in their office every day anyway, so just add it to the list. I'm pretty sure Marco is the reason he's employed there.
So is that okay? That's a cedar stick. I like it.
Yeah, word.
I like it. Good
Stop and
walking
keep it.
stick. Iran, Carl.
Iran.
Iran. All right. I guess we'll say Iran. Good to see you, Carl. Thanks so much.
Later.
All right.